Have you ever loved someone so deeply that their silence felt louder than any scream? One day, they held your hand like you were their entire world, and the next they vanished into silence like a ghost of the connection you once shared. No explanation, no closure, just a void where their warmth used to be. Most people assume they left because they didn't care. But what if that assumption is wrong? What if love, real love, doesn't always show up as closeness? What if paradoxically love sometimes hides, not because it has disappeared, but because it has become too overwhelming to bear? In this video, we'll explore a profound truth, one that Carl Jung, the father of depth psychology, hinted at decades ago. Love is not just an emotion. It is a mirror into the deepest corners of our unconscious. And sometimes what we see in that mirror frightens us more than we realize. So stay with me, because the story of love and distance is not one of rejection. It's one of shadow work, healing, and transformation. And by the end of this video, you might look at love and your past heartbreaks with entirely new eyes. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Deep Psyche, where we unravel the mysteries of the soul, the unconscious mind, and the symbols that shape our lives. Now let's descend into the hidden layers of love. Love is not what it seems. Love is a paradox. It is tender and fierce, uplifting and devastating. It is both sanctuary and storm. You've felt it, haven't you? The butterflies, the breathlessness, the sense that your soul finally recognizes someone, that this, whatever it is, matters. But then, without warning, something changes. They pull away, they stop calling, they go quiet, and you're left wondering, what did I do wrong? Here's the truth. Love doesn't always follow logic, because it doesn't live in the logical part of our brain. It lives in the unconscious. Carl Jung taught us that love is not simply about emotion. It is an encounter with our inner world projected onto another. When we fall in love, we don't just fall for a person, we fall into a mirror. And sometimes the reflection is too much to handle. The unconscious mind and the illusion of control. The human mind is split. On one side, there's the conscious mind where we think, plan, and act. On the other, the vast and mysterious unconscious home to our repressed fears, unresolved wounds, childhood memories, and instincts we don't even know we have. Jung believed that when we enter relationships, we unknowingly invite our unconscious to the table. It's why we often fall for people who seem so familiar, even when they're entirely new. It's why we're drawn to partners who stir something deep, primal, and inexplicable. These connections aren't random. They're archetypal, symbolic, meaningful. But here's where it gets complicated. Why love triggers our deepest wounds. Falling in love is like opening a portal to our soul. It doesn't just reveal the best of us, it exposes our fears, our insecurities, our old traumas. For some, being loved deeply is exhilarating. For others, it's terrifying. Think of someone who grew up with abandonment. When love gets too close, their unconscious whispers, "Don't trust this." They'll leave. So even if everything seems perfect, they start to pull away. Or someone who was constantly controlled. When emotional intimacy grows, their mind says, "You're losing yourself." And so they detach, not because they don't love, but because they don't want to lose control again. This is the unconscious at work, and it doesn't ask for permission. It acts in defense even when love is exactly what we need. When withdrawal isn't rejection, but overwhelm. We tend to think if they ignore me, they don't care. But often the opposite is true. When someone withdraws without a clear reason, it's not always about losing interest. It could be that the love has become too intense and they don't know how to hold it. Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." The person pulling away might not even understand when they're doing it. They may feel flooded by emotions they can't name, so their psyche does what it knows: retreats. Silently, automatically. They're not rejecting you. They're retreating from the part of themselves that's scared of being seen. So what should you do? The instinct is to chase, to text, to demand answers, to fight for love. But here's a difficult truth. The more you cling to someone who is pulling away, the more they retreat. Because the unconscious interprets pursuit as pressure. What if the greatest act of love is to pause, to give them the space their soul is screaming for, even if their lips say nothing? It's hard, it feels counterintuitive. But real love respects boundaries, even silent ones. When distance is a test, even if unconscious, sometimes withdrawal isn't just a defense. It's a test, not a manipulative one, but an unconscious one. Some people create emotional space to see what happens. Will you chase? Will you collapse? Will the connection survive? It's not fair, but it's human, deeply human, especially for those who never learn safe love. But here's the irony. Real love doesn't need to be tested. It grows best in trust and presence. So ask yourself, are they pulling away temporarily, or do they always run? Are you waiting for them to return, or waiting for them to change? What if they never come back? The silence stretches. Days, weeks, maybe forever. You want closure. But what if the silence is the closure? Sometimes love doesn't last, but that doesn't mean it wasn't real. Jung reminds us that people come into our lives to awaken parts of ourselves. That's the soul's agenda, not longevity, but evolution. Ask yourself, am I mourning them, or am I mourning the part of me that came alive when they were here? If their love opened your heart, even for a moment, then their presence had purpose, even if it was brief. The final truth most never realize. Here's something people rarely understand. The person who leaves doesn't always know why they're leaving. Many are unaware of their emotional patterns. They don't realize that your presence, your love, triggered something sacred but scary. They're not running from you. They're running from the mirror your love held up. That mirror shows their wounds, their shadows, their unhealed past. And not everyone is ready to look. So don't force answers. Don't beg for clarity. The question isn't, will they come back? The question is, if they do, will they be any different? Some never return. Others come back with more confusion. But a precious few, come back with new eyes, ready to love not from fear, but from awareness. What love is really here to teach you. Love is not possession. It is not control. It is not endurance. Love is a mirror, a sacred invitation to look within, to ask, what am I learning about myself? What does this pain reveal about my past? What do I really want in connection? Jung's work reminds us that relationships are vehicles for individuation, for becoming whole. Even heartbreak is part of that journey. So if someone leaves, don't just mourn. Reflect, grow, transform. Because every soul you meet is a teacher, and every loss is a message. Final reflection. Have you ever experienced a love that disappeared just when it felt most alive? If so, you're not alone. Many have walked this path, and many have come out stronger, wiser, more whole. Love will always challenge us. But the greatest love of all is the one that brings us back to ourselves. If this message resonated with you, drop a comment below. Share your experience. Let someone else know they're not alone. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Because love, when it's real, doesn't vanish. It transforms. And sometimes the ones who ignore us are not rejecting us, they're awakening to what love is trying to teach them. This is Psyphoria, where we don't just talk about feelings, we understand them. Until next time, keep exploring the depths.